Okay, so another thing that I wanted to ask is being that we're coming into, well, we're in a new year now. Um, I see a lot of people posting about, um, you know, 2017 was crap and 2018 is going to be a fabulous year and, um, you know, type amen if God's got it and things like that. And I just wanted to address, I guess being a student of this work, being a seeker, we're so used to going in and, all right, so 2017 was crap. Okay. And then we have to look at, well, why was it crap? Like, what happened? What were my beliefs about it? What were my judgments? And we're pulling all this stuff out and trying to kind of see through that. And what do you, trying to really think of what the question is, because you have a lot of other teachers out there that do say that you have to have a positive outlook. The universe has your back. Um,
Hmm.
things like that. I mean, you do have to have faith to some degree.
Hmm. Sure.
So, can we have a conversation about that?
Well, again, you've given me this really
Oh,
immense,
I'm sorry.
immense thing to wrap myself around. Let me, from what I'm holding right now, let me answer from there. Is it
Okay.
true that you have to have faith? Sure. Faith is what you are. Is it true that you have to hold a positive outlook? Sure. A positive beingness is what you are. Is it also true that each one of those things can be another cul-de-sac for you to get stuck on in your route to enlightenment? Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is one of the things that differentiates the level of teacher that you're dealing with. Now, I have to be really careful the way I'm wording this, because I just answered a question where I said people want to make a hierarchy, and I'm telling you there is none. And now at the same time, I'm about to turn around and tell you there is a hierarchy. Because, of course, because the walk is paradoxical. So what
Mhm.
functions on this level, 3D reality as you know it, is not going to be the same set of rules, we'll say, that function outside of this level. And in your journey as seeker, you're walking into the capacity to move into your multidimensional self and to be able to view it from a greater and grander perspective over time, more and more and more and more. Well, every time you shift, new rules come into play. And the rule here, let's say at 5D, doesn't negate the rule at 3D, right? Because they exist in two separate spaces. The rule in 3D is perfect for 3D. The rule in 5D is what it needs to be in 5D. And you have to learn to discern between both, and then you learn where to make the choice from, right? Obviously, we're here to function from the very highest light that we can and take those understandings and ground them here and make our choices from those spaces. However, it doesn't negate what is kind of true here. Now, remember, and again, it's just bad language, because language just never works to point to what we really need it to point to. Ultimately, there is no truth here, because here doesn't even exist. However, you're here until you're not. So while you are, there is truth here. Gravity definitely seems to be working here, doesn't it? Yes, we can say that. And the birth cycle and death cycle seems to be working here. Yes, we can say that too. So while you're here, there are concepts that have become materialized that you have to allow and move through without identifying with simultaneously. Okay, that's a lot to say, and that's a very high level of teaching. But what I'm getting to is the point that while a positive outlook is very important, it's also something that so many people, especially on a conscious spiritual path, have gotten so identified with and addicted to that it's actually stopping them from being able to move further and to go deeper. because it serves as I mean, let's think of it this way. Someone I really respect, a teacher that I think the world of, just said to me, it's all about monitoring your thoughts and how you think, and recognizing that when you have bad thoughts, you need to course correct and get on a right path. Is it true? Well, let's decide where we're looking from. From the level of psychology, which functions here in this world, yeah, I would highly recommend it, right? Because you need to learn techniques to help get yourself out of feeling terrible. On the level of seeker who's looking for liberation, is it true? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's a trap. It's a huge trap. And it's one that says, if it's negative, I don't want any part of it. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to think about it. Let's just keep focusing here and focus here. And the more you resist something, the more it will persist in your life. And even more than that, the more you're going to become the thing that you resist. Mm-hmm. So what do we have to do? Well, what the seeker has to do is, bad choice of words again, but I can't think of another one to use, feel his way into who's the teacher for me at this time, right? Now, that's tricky too, because the ego is going to say, well, let's find the one that makes us feel good, right? The one that makes sense for me is the one I feel so good every time I'm around him or her. And I leave feeling uplifted and wonderful. Can that be a good thing? Well, of course. I wouldn't ever say that isn't a good thing. But if you're a seeker who desires above all else to be liberated from the life-death cycle that has held consciousness enslaved here, is that teacher the one for you? No, at a certain point it's not, because there are higher teachings, you see. It does look hierarchical, but each one has its perfect place here. Each level of teaching, from the very most fundamental level up through the teaching that can literally bring a student to the moment of enlightenment, they all are perfectly placed. And every teacher who's teaching at each level is perfectly placed there to do that level of work. You couldn't have this level and then this level and nothing in between, because who could make the leap? No one could make the leap, right? So it has to be incremental. And all of the teachers are placed there because they serve the purpose for those people who are now ready to move from this level up to this level. And then there are teachers in place. So when this one's ready and they know the time and they have felt like, yeah, it's time to move on, now there are teachers in place for them to move up to. And so from this level, it does look hierarchical. But you always have to remember, and I am so serious about this when I say it, that every single teacher, no matter where they're placed, no teaching negates the other teaching. You understand? They are all perfectly placed because they all serve a very specific purpose in the awakening process. All right? And that's the most important thing. So when you are here, and here's the hardest thing that I deal with personally, is having people come to me who are already inundated with information. The internet has made it so accessible to get information on everything that now they come in with so many belief systems. They've got the one that they were born into, they were Catholic growing up or whatever, so they've got all of that programming. Now they've been doing all kinds of research, and so now they've got like Pleiadian channel information coming in, and then they have, information from someone like Muji coming in, and it's like there's all of this stuff. And so whatever they're going to get from me, the mind already holds all that other information, and the mind uses all of it against me as teacher. And it just absolutely will, because you have to always remember that the mind, the ego itself, is playing all the roles. It plays the role of the seeker who wants liberation. It also plays the role of the one who could care less. It plays the role of the one who's angry at God and says, get out of my life, I can do far better without you. It plays all of it, and it plays all of it simultaneously. So it's always looking, even though it says I want liberation, it's also simultaneously looking all the time for little bits of information that it can then utilize as some kind of a justification for judging, say someone like me, and a teaching that I would give. or something I would do, and it'll utilize all of it, and it can point to this other teaching. Yeah, but so and so said this, or yeah, but in A Course in Miracles it said this, and you just did that, and those two don't, they're not the same thing, so you got to be wrong. And now there's another whole huge, it's beautiful work for the student, right? Beautiful work, but it's another whole chunk of work that has to be done so the student can see through that story that they've been carrying. So, it makes it so much harder when you have people who are just listening to loads of different teachers, because we're all functioning at different levels. And what serves one will not serve the next level. And you're trying to take it all in and make sense of all of it and try to get it to all work together, and it can't. It just can't, right? So it's all going on. The level that all of it is true simultaneously is accurate, but the level that none of it is true simultaneously is also accurate, So your discernment as a seeker and where you feel it's time for you to move next is really paramount. And of course, personal discernment is one of the largest steps in mastering this reality. Not looking to an outside source to lead you and to make decisions for you, but to learn to go within, to get still, and to find it for yourself. Because of course, all answers lie within you. Of course, the outside world is your own projection. Mm-hmm. I am your projection. So you have to remember that even if you're seeing it out here, it's still you. It's always still you. And to learn to be able to say, I can make my own choices, but also to be wise enough to recognize when an outside source is better placed to assist you, right? Because that's true too. There are times where, is it true that given enough time, you could walk yourself off the life-death cycle? Of course, of course. Is it also true that if you decide that fire that's burning in your solar plexus is so strong that you want off this lifetime, it's that serious to you? Is it also true that there are teachers or guides in place to better serve you to do that quicker? Well, of course, absolutely, right? So a lot of what we do, and the thing that the seeker comes to understand is that so much is completely paradoxical. You have got to get comfortable with paradox if you truly seek liberation, because it's going on all the time. And then you have to learn to navigate your way through it.